today we have assembled as usual to discuss a very important issue that we already know. It has been in discussion for a long time. There have been moments for a long time over the question whether the government institutions should remain government institutions or should it be privatized. Now it is a major issue because of late we have seen that there are many institutes in all over the country where they have cropped up as private institutes. Now there has been a discussion whether we should allow them to be private institution or government institutions are still better. Now we have two sides out here. One side here which favors that government institute should not be there, it should be privatized, I suppose. Yet we have on our right side some of the students who would say that no, institution should remain government institution. So it is basically a discussion, a debate between the two sides whether the institution should be government or should be privatized. So we, to just later the discussion, we start off with this side and we ask them to speak if the government institution, if the institutions, educational institutions should be privatized, why it should be privatized, and that is the main question to answer. So who would take it up from this side? If I think you would take it up. Yes.
I think education should be completely privatized because I think education is all about quality. And if you are having a quality education, then only in future you will be able to earn name, fame and money. And as this era is all about competition, and in private education we all get skills, we are having all-round development. We are having skills, we will be able to make our good personality by private educations. As I think in our education or in our life, our teachers are our role models, and we grow up by keep on seeing them while we grow up. And in private education, private teachers are very hardworking and they are punctual and they are having good qualities. But so we grow up by seeing them. So we have a habit of hardworking and we have the qualities like them. But on contrary, in government education, we know how the teachers are, and the students just see them only and they learn whatever the qualities their teachers have. And I think in private educations, for getting the better results, the teachers and the students both are working hard and they are improving their education and they are improving the quality of their education. On the contrary, the government, they are not increasing the quality or not improving the quality of their education. They are just deteriorating or reducing the quality of their question papers, and wrong things are going on.
In private institutes, teachers are more skilled. What is the take on that? Your take? Because do you think that in private institutes teachers are more skilled? If you think, first I would ask Manish to reply to this question.
I think, sir, as far as the scale is concerned, I think it is not a problem of institutions. Whether there's most of the great institutions where there is very nice faculties, it is run by the government. So I think that skill development program should be, can be a good program in our government institution. But it is not a point to take the all government institution towards in a private hands, because I think that whatever decision has been taken by Indian government, it is not good, because the state of India is not a profitable state. State of India is a welfare state, and for welfaring we should run our education system by the government norms. And I'm saying something else. I'm telling that as far as our government is working, our government is announcing that all government institutions should be privatized, but I think that all institutions, whether they are government, they are privatized, all institutions should be run by the government. There should be free education from KG to PG.
But that is a point to be noted. Manish has mentioned a very important point, that government of India is basically a democratic government, and the concept of the government is a welfare state, where welfare state means the government does for the benefit of the people, for the benefit of the masses. If institutes would be privatized, then it would be commercial, and hence it is commercial, it would not be able to give services to the larger number of people. In that case, it would not remain a welfare state. What is your take on that? Ayush?
Actually, sir, as you are saying that if the government education means it is like that, if the government institutes are not able to
provide education.
provide education to the students. So they should, when we are seeing that government institutes are not providing education, so they should get privatized. And it is not like that the government, it will be the, it is not like it's the partiality type.
Right.
Means if the more student will go to the private sector, then the fees of private sector they will reduce the fees. So it is like
You want to say that there would be a competition.
Yeah, there would be a
Private sectors
competition.
would be in the business, there would be a
Yes, sir.
competition. Anshul, do you want to speak something?
Yes, sir. I think so. If the government institutions are just paying in a motto of getting the welfare societies or welfare country, then I think so. Welfare only comes when the qualities increases in one's in everyone's lives, and qualities come through private institutions only. I think it's rather than giving a raw rice to a large amount of pupils, then we should give a ripe rice to a small amount of pupils so that they can enrich this small amount of rices to everyone. So I think so. Rather than welfare is just is only a standalone of the quality only.
Yeah, what she mentions is welfare does not mean that you eliminate competition. If it is a welfare state, there has to be a competition, and when there is a competition among the private sectors, it would automatically grow. What is your take on that? Anybody from here? Any other person? Yes, you speak. No, whatever question is, how do you take it like as government institution?
I think whether there are exceptions and merits and demerits are in both, but I oppose the privatization of the institutes because the private institutes have very high fees which is not affordable by all the people. I mean, the private institutes are for those people who are economically strong and who are complacent. But what about the poor people? I mean, there are also poor people who have the knowledge and skills and talent, but because of the fees, they are lagging behind. So for them only there should be the government institutes. And I want to say in privatization, sometimes the admissions are on the basis of, its prime motto is to do business and giving the importance to money. So admissions are on the basis of money and donation. So it can also ruin the future of the students. That if there is a students who can take admissions in the stream because of money, but he don't have the basic knowledge, so it can also ruin the future.
Basic attack is on fee structure. Now the basic thing is the fee structure is very, very high in private institutions and poor people would not be able to pay. First, let me see if Anjali has to say something.
I want to ask, what is the definition of the poor people? Who is poor people? According to us, the poor people poor people are they who doesn't have the money.
Okay.
So if we compare the poor people or a richer people, the poor people or richer people both has a two hand or two leg. So if the person is one person is rich and second person is poor, so who is responsible? If a person is responsible. Both
Okay.
has both eat the same food. So why?
Varun, how would you react to this? She says that there is no concept of poor and rich because everybody has money. The only thing is we don't show our money. What she wants to say is we don't show our money, that is why we are poor. Somebody who shows money is rich.
I don't think so because I have seen many examples when the Kedarnath the flood has come. I have seen many of the kids, they were going across the river and they were going to the study and they were putting their bags on their heads. They wanted to study, whether the flood has come, whether the mountains are cutting. They just want to study. And if they are not getting the fee, if they are not getting the money, then how can they will be able to? Because in this modern era, there is no simplicity. There's just the people want just money. They just want. If they don't want money, then how can they will be able to open their institute? How can they will be able to run their institute?
Okay, true.
But-
you have a please.
But they earn the money for his all requirement of life, to eating food, for dress or everything. They waste.
They spend.
They spend the money for every requirement of his life.
Sure.
Then our education is the most important requirement of our life. So why we should not? Why should we
True.
should?
What she says that education is the important part of our life. So why should we not put on education? Why put on everything, not on education? Amar has to say something.
Sir, I find that there should be a high fee structure of private institutions so that and so that the people who are unable to pay the sufficient amount of fee could get the seats in the government institution, so that a private institution who is capable to pay the fee could join the private institution.
Okay, what he wants to say, it basically depends on an individual. If one can afford to be in a private institution, it's alright, or if not, then you can move on to government education. Sakshi has to say something on this.
Sir, what I need to say is that parents' major priority is to serve their children. The major priority of a parent is to give the children a good education. If parents have the money, then he or she will never compromise for the education of their children. If a person is not having money, then only he sends the children to a government institution. And for this, I think for the poor people, government institution is best.
Sir, one point I would like to make here that which Anshul has said that in a private institution there is a competition, and by this competition they are providing quality. But I think that this competition implements same way in also government institution, because if government has imposed that whatever government has said nowadays, the good governance in all department, I think if they implement good governance in the education sectors, then definitely the quality will increase, and competition should also be increased in that sector. And one more thing that Shri Anjali said, that what is the definition of poor person? But I would like to tell you all that just go and see in villages. There's a 36 crore people are very poor. They are unable to earn their two-time foods. They are hand to mouth. And most of the schools are running in villages, which is running by the government. There's only 5 or 10 students were there, and two teachers are running their schools. If they are privatized, then it will be the business of loss, and no any private person doing the business of loss.
True, very good. You want to say something?
Yes, so I want to say that educational institutions should not be privatized,
Yes.
because if they will be privatized, then this will not be in favor with the poor peoples. Because here the question is that India is a country of poor peoples. There are many poor peoples. I have listened to many of the students who are doing B.Ed. When they go in the villages to teach the students, then they find a curiosity there to learn more and more. But they don't have the money to go to the private schools. So if they go to the government schools, then also they learn. They do not avoid the studies. But the problem is of their parents. Their parents are not literate. So they think that if they will send their children to the schools, then it will not be good for them. So they do not send. But if the governments are giving the facilities, like they are providing a midday meal for the students, and they are providing the cycles and all these things. So the narrow-mindedness, people think that it is good for them. They don't have to prepare the food for the children during the mid-time, and their children are eating. So their money is being saved, and the students is also getting the education.
Very good. Anybody from this side who would add up to something? Yes, you want to say something? Yes, Devesh. Yes.
So I just want to explore what he is saying. He has said that if they will impose the concept of good governance on private government institution, if they will impose, actually what private institutions are doing, they are imposing the good governance, the concept of good governance recently.
Okay,
Actually,
right.
we are seeing, we are observing continuously
True.
that private institutions are imposing their concept of good governance.
Okay, the good governance is already there in the private institution.
There are mentalities. There are mentalities that private institutions are providing better education and better quality education. They are mentalities.
True. Yes. Nitin, would you like to add up something to what Devesh has said?
I want to say something about the private institutions are much better than the government sector, because the private institutions also have the 25% ratio for the poor person. And there is also one thing about the parents, as the all person are just blaming for the parents, they have no money, but they have the money for the licking, they have the money for the gutta, and they have the money for the wastage, unnecessary thing they are the earning. But they are not able to spend for their kid, they are not able to purchase the books, but they have the lump sum amount in the Mazduri department also. Government provide the food very cheap rate, and they can earn per day 250 to 1000, but they are not able to spend over their child. So there is no matter about the private.
What Nitin is saying is pretty important here, because he basically wants to mention that, you see, it is not a question of money. People are not in a position to spend money. They have money, they don't want to spend money. And that is why they show themselves poor, because government is already supplying them something. Yes.
Each and every person can't afford the education of their children, so it is necessary that there should be a government school. So I think that there should be a government school so that each and every student can study, and the parents who can't afford the teaching of the student can teach this student in government school, and the students who are studying in private school are losing some of the benefit to given by the government, like midday meal and less fees and many facilities. So it is true that we should have government school, and mostly people say that there are no study in government school. So it is not like that. I have seen many of the teachers that have dedicated their life to teach their student. They do all their effort to teach the students.
Actually, what she is planning to say is we have a system of Gurukul. We have seen our teachers being so dedicated to teaching standards. They have been selflessly, sacrificing themselves the whole life towards teaching, and they have done it. And we have seen in government schools there have been a lot of teachers who have dedicated themselves to the services to education. Now, in that sense, we have typical teachers in government schools. How do you say that private teachers would excel better than government teachers, Pandit, if it's your take?
Sir, because I think that in the government sector, we are not finding the good management. They are too much lazy. They don't want to do any type of work. If we compare with the private institution, every teacher, you will find that he is very good and he behaves in a good manner.
Right.
But whenever we go to any government school, so I don't find anywhere any good teacher. They bunk in a 2 and 3 days in a week. So it is not good, I think that.
Teachers bunking in private institutes.
So is
it right? Do you agree?
Government.
Is it good that the teachers
From government schools, yes.
Is it good that the teachers are working too hard? They are working for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, and they are not getting the salary. They are not getting that much of salary. So, do you think that is it good for them?
That one is entirely different. Here we are talking of educational quality. Okay, so you just stick to that point only.
The basic
Educational quality matters a lot.
See,
To stick to that thing.
if a teacher does not get a payment up to his satisfaction, does not mean that he would not engage his classes. I mean, he has got to do his duties. So duty-bound teachers have to be there. The salary and the other perks would be something secondary. Yes.
I want to add something about the Panditji. In the private institution, we are just able to find the students, how they behave, how they live, and that is the matter of what is the modus operandi and what is the modus vivendi. In the private institution, we are not able to find in the government institution. Government teachers are always taking the private classes out of the school. While they are not able to give in the class, they are very lazy. They have the mentality of the center of the government. They give the lump sum amount for there, but they are not able to prove themselves in the class. But they always prove in the coaching classes. But in the private,
this is I'll just put it this way. This is a major objection raised to the government teachers, that they are government teachers, but mostly they engage in private classes.
But sir, there's a very strong rule and regulation that government teachers can't run their private tuition. But in private institutions, it is working like a business. Because I have several examples that in private institution, private teacher has not got a handsome salary. Because of that, they are running their private tuition, and the same exploitation is done by the owner of the institution.
But that's why here I would like to change the whole course of discussion. See, we have been discussing over the question of teachers.
Yeah.
But the prime object is our student. Where does a student benefit? That is a basic question to handle here. See, it is not a question whether we get a right teacher here or whether we get a right teacher there. But it is a question of overall development of a student. Whether a student finds himself properly developed in a government atmosphere or in a private atmosphere is the question which we should be discussing now. Yes.
So I think that the students are getting a proper development in the government schools or institutions, because
I know that in private institutions they just get a rich environment. So due to that they get attracted to the bad things. But in the government institution they get a poor environment. Due to that they learn how to do hard work.
Okay, we could short here. She says that in government institutions students get a better environment, and in private institutions they don't. They get environment which distract them. Yes, Anshu.
So I totally want to deny this fact because I think so as per the disciplines, we can see that government institutions have a lagging behind the disciplines. The students of the government institutions talk with the teachers in such a way as if they are their servants. On the same way, on another way, if we see that the private institutions, they have maintained their reputations at the top position of the disciplines.
Okay.
They are teaching their students how to maintain, how to behave, how not to misbehave in front of others. So I totally want to deny this fact that there's no discipline in a private institution.
Any additions in it? Any additions in it?
Actually, sir, as you were telling that, asking that where the student can more benefit. So it's the perfect answer that the student can more benefit only in a private school, because in private school, if we talk about the higher studies and take the example of practicals, in government school I have seen that there is no practical. Teachers do not make the student understand that which chemical is this and how to mix the chemicals and make the good solution.
True. Any additions to it? Any additions? Yes.
So as they have said that in government schools they get a good environment and they become a standard for in the future by having a good education and by having a good development. I want to ask the question that why government is telling that you have to pass the students up to 8th class. If they are having a quality education, if they are this much of able that they can pass by themselves, then why government is helping them? And when they come in 9th class, they just fail. You can see so many failures of 9th class. And as she said that if in government education they get this much of good environment that they do not get addicted.
Well, this is a major question which I think you people should answer. That why is it so that in government educations we have made a law that all till 8th class would be passed?
And with that, I would like to add one more sentence. They are told by their higher authorities that you should sit along with 2 pens. Okay, so that if a student is not writing anything, you need to correct the answer, you need to correct the objectives, so that all the students can pass and we can give a good output and we can give 99 to 100% result.
The teachers basically are forced to pass the students despite the fact that students are not.
I think, sir, it is
We'll come to it. Yes,
Yes, it is the individual law of government, but sir, I think I am also not support this law.
Yeah.
But as far the education and money is concerned, we are typed our discussion in primary and middle and school education.
Right.
As we think about the higher education like IIT and like engineering, like doctor, these all things like big institution. I think we are unable to pay the fees of these institutions. So I think for persons who have quality, students who have caliber, their admission should be free. The admission should be
May I
on the basis of the quality.
May I ask you one question? That in all these institutions which you have named, all the bigger institutions of the country, they have the system of scholarship and fellowship being offered to poor students. So those who are meritorious and yet poor, they would be given scholarships also.
Still, sir, what happened nowadays that the scam like a Vyapam. What happens that the every rich money persons want that their sons and daughters become a doctor, and for that they are paying the bribe, and they got admission. I think for stopping these all things, for stopping that only moneyed person can become a good doctor, I think we should stop this. Poor person has also caliber to become a doctor, but they have not money to pay for the great institution.
Any additions to this from this side? Any additions?
Because
Yes.
of this, the rich people leads to the upliftment, and there is nothing for the poor people because they also have the talent, but they don't get the chance because of money.
Yeah, there are some. I accept that there are some poor people who don't get chances.
Sir, in private institution, those people will go. Those are very rich, and most of the students are become spoiled brat. And in private institution, if children get failed, so their parents give money. So that is they know that my father is so rich.
In institutes, it does not happen at all.
Ma'am, they are happening.
No.
Okay. Anita, you want to add up something?
Sir, I want to say that I don't think there is a need to education system should be privatized, because if it will happen, then I think that there is a drastic change which will come in a literacy strength. That we all know that our literacy strength, which is not too strong, and if it will happen, then it will definitely decrease. So because our country, which is not developing country, so I think that I don't think there is a need to privatize. Still, till that our country is not developed country.
Okay, we have already come to the closer of this discussion for today. We have already time. We'll take the last take on somebody's. If somebody wants to add up one-liners, yes, please one-liner. Please have the camera on Guru Bakshi. And Guru Bakshi, your last statement.
Sir, as I think that education should be privatization, because I think that the education is just like a spine. Like without a spine, no one can live in this world. Like that, education is just like a spine of this country. And without education, no one country can get the progress in this world. Like America. Why are we saying that America is better than all? Because education is better than of that place. So education is better of that place. As we know that there are many villages. The students of that place, they are unable to know still more than 10 class what is the ABCD, what is the table of the.
That is right.
If we come in city in private school, the student of the nursery
Basically, you start learning. Let's see what
Yeah.
Varun has to say. Yes, Varun.
In the last, I will
Just last 1 minute of discussion is left.
I want to say that as they had mentioned the cheating and all these things, if you get, I want to explain with the example that if you get some worms in your grains, then it doesn't mean that you will throw all the grain, but it means
Sure.
that
Riya,
it
would
means
like to
that
say something? Yeah, fast, come fast.
I think education system should not be privatized because who is ahead then he is in day by day and
Yeah, it should remain to the common institution. Okay, we actually running short of time for the discussions only, so we conclude. Yes, you want to say something? The last one take on it.
I think I think education system is not to be private because many people live in village and they are very poor and they not submit fees because in private institute fees is very higher and they are not submit fees there and because many people live in village and they are depend on agriculture and they are labor.
So basically, it is for laborers who would not be able to pay fees for the private institution, and that's why. Yeah. Yes.
So the government should be provide many abhiyans like
Midday meal and all.
midday meal and so
Basically, government offers many things. See, we have this discussion going on between privatization and non-privatization, that is a government institution. Education has been in the concurrent list of our nation, and it has been a very important part of our life and our society. Without education, we cannot survive, whether private or government. We have different aspects of it. But before we close, I ask Draupadi ma'am to sum it up the discussion.
What I feel that educational system should be privatized because there is very thick dividing line between saying and following. We all say that it should not be privatized because large part of the population would remain illiterate. But normally it won't happen. When the question of education comes, then each and every parents, we know that today they all are aware of their kids' education. So they are definitely to send their kids to the best educational institute. When the question of education comes, no parents or not at all a single parents want to send their kid to government school because they themselves know the condition, real situation of the government school. They know that teachers there are not meant for teaching. They are there for serving midday meal and for doing other works which are being given by the higher authorities. So I think it should be privatized.
Well, I would not like to end up the discussion by saying whether it should be privatized or should be remain government. There are government teachers who are very, very dedicated teachers. They have been doing this service for a long time, dedicated to the cause, and they have been working very laboriously for a long time. But this is one part of it. The other part says that there are some private institutions also where teachers have been performing very well. They have done quite a lot to the development of education in our country. So where we end up the discussion today.